We're here at League with Dan, and he's going to profile his Mega Tyranitar deck, so we'll get right into it.
Alright, so this is a Mega Tyranitar deck. We'll start off with just your regular Tyranitars here. Your standard 180 HP for AEXs, ×2 fighting weakness, and psychic resistance, which is going to be really big in the next format here with Mega Mewtwo getting really strong. 4 retreat costs, which means you're probably not going to be retreating that much, but we'll address that more later. His attacks aren't that great, but what you're normally going for is the Mega Tyranitars right here. And his attack for 4 energies, 2 dark and 2 colorless, so you can use double colorless with him. It does 110 damage, plus an additional 60 damage for every damage counter on the defending Pokemon, which scales pretty quickly. With only 20 damage on the defending Pokemon, you'll swing for 230 damage with that Destroyer King attack, so damage scales very quickly. And you can't forget this ancient trait up here that allows him to have 2 Pokemon tools attached, which means you evolve with the Spirit Link and then you can attach something else, which I tend to go with EXP share. Right? Another interesting choice I made here is this Hoopa from Steam Siege. It has the attack Hyperspace Punch, which does 20 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. And if you remember what I said earlier, 20 damage is enough to swing for 230 damage with Destroyer King. So you start off with the Hoopa, and then you use your Hyperspace Punch to spread damage onto your opponent's Pokemon, and then knock them out with Destroyer King whenever they become active. Now, if they have rough seas, it can be hard to spread damage with Hoopa. So, tried and true method for spreading damage is Golbat. Sneaky Bite is whenever you evolve this Pokemon, you place 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon, and it can be their active or it doesn't have to be, which means that you can just have a Zubat down, evolve to a Golbat, and then swing with Destroyer King for 230 damage, and it basically out of nowhere. They'll never see it coming, except for when you have a Zubat down. And then just run 2 Shaymins because you really do need to draw a lot of cards. So, and Shaymin is really the easiest way to do that without playing supporters. Standard. All right. So we're gonna move on to trainers now, and the first trainer I'd like to talk about is this right here, Team Magma's Secret Base. This is a card that it's overlooked a lot because it's in the Double Crisis set, which didn't get a lot of attention. But what it does is whenever you or your opponent plays a Pokemon from their hand, then that Pokemon takes 20 damage, 2 damage counters onto that Pokemon, which, if you remember, adds up well with Destroyer King to swing for 230 damage. So that can help. The only downside is if you play it on your first turn, then you also have to put 20 damage on all your Pokemon. But it scales better for you than for them, because your attack scales off of damage. Alright, and then we'll go over the whole supporter line here. You just got 2 Sycamores, which is kind of a low count, but there's a lot of stuff that you don't want to be discarding in this deck, so you're going to want to play a different shuffle draw instead of Sycamore. Sycamore is kind of a last resort. And speaking of the shuffle draw, we have 2 Ends, which are pretty standard draw supporters. You shuffle them in, both players shuffle their hand, and you draw equal to amount of prize cards. It's such a great card, stalls your opponent sometimes, and helps you get a new hand, and it can really help you make some comebacks. Now, Lysander is a pretty also standard supporter. It just forces your opponent to switch their active Pokemon, which helps you get key knockouts when you could spread the damage with Hoopa, then bring that guy up, or just bring up their Shaymins, which you don't need any damage to knock out with Destroyer King with the 110 base damage. All right, and then the next supporter, Teammates, is a strong supporter because when one of your Pokemon gets knocked out, you can play it to search your deck for any 2 cards, which is really invaluable to set up, especially like if a Mega Tyranitar just went down, you can search for the cards you need to set up the next one quickly. Then the final supporter, or not the final supporter, the second to last supporter is Ace Trainer, because a lot of times this deck is slower to set up, and they'll take a knockout on a Zubat or a Shaymin before you're fully set up, or your Hoopa. And this says that if you're down on prize cards, both players shuffle in, and you draw 6 cards, and it knocks your opponent down to 3, which at the start of a game can cripple their setup and swing the game to your favor. The last supporter is this Ninja Boy right here from the new Steam Siege expansion. It allows you to switch one basic Pokemon you have in play with a different basic Pokemon out of your deck, and retain all effects, tools, and energy, everything, including special conditions that are on that Pokemon. Which means that you can start with your Hoopa and attach the energy to attack, and then the next turn switch it to a Tyranitar and then evolve and get set up in basically 2 turns. Or you can use it to get Shaymins off your bench and switch them for Zubats and evolve them to Golbats. And you can it has a lot of uses. Alright, now I'll move on to the item cards. Right.
Do these a little bit faster. We're at like 5 minutes already.
Alright, well, you got 4 VS Seekers, pretty standard, 4 Ultra Balls.
These you don't have to explain.
We don't gotta explain those. Those are all real standard things right there. 3 EXP shares. They are to go on your Tyranitars. They can have 2 Pokemon tools with this Omega Double. And basically, you have the Spirit Link, you have an EXP share. Whenever your active Pokemon gets knocked out, a basic energy goes from your active onto that Pokemon, which helps the setup. 3 Spirit Links. They are required basically for any Mega deck. They let you not end your turn when you're evolving. 3 De-Evolution Sprays. Without Super Scoop Up, you really need a way to continue to cycle your Golbats, and that lets you do it. You just pick them up, then the next turn you can evolve them again.
Also, when we played, you De-Evolution sprayed the Tyranitar and then moved things around, and it helped you win a game that way too.
Yeah. If you're in a really bad spot, you can De-Evolution spray your Mega Tyranitars to swing with the regular Tyranitar attack. 2 Mega Turbos, because they accelerate energy from your discard pile. I'm not running 4, because without Battle Compressor, it's challenging to get energies in your discard pile sometimes. And then 2 Max Elixirs instead of the other 2 Mega Turbos. You can accelerate those onto your basic Pokemon like your Hoopa or your Tyranitars before you evolve, and then you can use Ninja Boy. Alright, and then I have 4 one-of item cards here. I'm going to put them all out at the same time.
Yeah, they're all pretty standard.
And it's like the Float Stone, just so you can retreat with that huge retreat cost that he has. Escape Rope, same thing. Super Rod, I mean, those are all standard. And then energy counts, we run 4 double colorless energies because those 4, Destroyer King takes 4 energies, but that makes it technically only 3. And then 7 dark energies. I found that in testing that's just the perfect amount to always have one to attach to your Tyranitar, but not have too many that clogs up your whole hand.
All right, any final thoughts?
Any final thoughts? The deck's it's slow, but with using Ace Trainer and with using teammates, you can help yourself become set up.
I will say the bling is real. Having a hard time with glare. Well, thank you for letting me get this on here. So don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, hit me up on Twitter and Twitch, and then, give them a gang sign or something. I don't know, whatever, peace.